Okay, I think it's working now. Welcome to FBB Forum. I'm very pleased to welcome Isabelle, also known as Izzy Jackson, to the podcast. She is an IFBB Women's Physique Pro and most recently competed at Allegiance Pro in Reno, where she placed in the top 10 in 2021. And welcome, Izzy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Hi, and thanks for having me. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
oh, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. So my first questions are about like how you got started in bodybuilding. And I was wondering, did you have an athletic or a sports background before you started in the sport?
I did. I actually rode horses since I was 5 years old, and
Oh,
I worked with horses for 10, 15 years. And that was always my lifelong dream. My goal was to go to the Olympics riding dressage.
oh,
Obviously, that did not work out, but that was my first love, my first dream. And working with horses and being around horses is a lot of physical activity, and so yeah, I was always very, very active as a kid. Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I know that working with horses is really, you have to be pretty strong and you have to have a strong core and stuff, don't you?
For riding, yes, yeah, strong core. You develop some weird muscles.
Yeah.
I that took some time to atrophy. I had humongous tibialis anterior, which is like the front of your calf. Those
Oh,
muscles, those
really?
muscles were really huge, and I had like really. I never trained my lower back because my lower back was really, really thick for a long time, and
Sure.
yeah, and my fingers were really strong.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, just
strong
from
grip.
doing so much manual work with my hands.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. That's
So
really cool. That's cool that you have that background. And how did you get started in bodybuilding and who would you say convinced you to do your first contest?
I I don't really know how it started. I just remember always wanting to go to the gym. And I went to the gym in England a little bit. I had no clue what I was doing. And then when I first came over here, I didn't have a car. When I finally had enough money to save up and buy a car, I started going to the gym and working out. And of course, I did the typical female, lots of cardio, not much weight. And I did that for a long time, and I just always enjoyed going to the gym. And then I got really lucky that I trained with I trained with a girl that competed in bodybuilding back in the 80s, and I worked out with her and trained with her, and she taught me a lot at the very beginning. I still didn't have the nutrition part down at all. I was terrible with that for a very long time.
Okay.
And then my ex-husband, he was the one that convinced me. We were dating at the time, and he convinced me to do my first bodybuilding show.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, I did it, and I loved it, but he didn't want me to do anymore.
Oh yeah. When
Yeah,
when was your first show?
it was right before 9/11, right after 9/11.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah, that was before they had any of the different divisions.
Yeah.
So my only option was bodybuilding.
Yeah. I remember
And I
that.
think figure came out right after that. And I did
Yeah.
do one show in figure. That was when you had the two piece in figure. So you would do the two piece bikini and then you had the one piece.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
both of those shows I I was tiny, absolutely tiny.
Really? Oh yeah.
I looked like a stick. I was probably too small for a bikini.
Oh really?
Division.
Wow.
I was tiny. Yeah.
Wow. When
But
did
I
you
loved it.
when did you switch to women's physique?
Actually, I didn't compete then for a very long time. I always went to the gym and I always worked out and trained, and then I actually got into endurance, a lot of endurance sports. I did a lot of running and biking for
Hmm.
many years and competed in that,
Oh wow.
and then I decided about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I told my ex boyfriend at the time, I was like, hey, I'm really thinking about doing another figure show. And he was like, you should go for it, you should do it. So I was a figure competitor. And
Okay.
I did that for a long time. And then when I went to nationals a week before going to Team Universe, my coach was like, I think you should try women's physique.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I've never done that. And I've never competed in women's physique, so I don't know if they'll let me compete. And I
Mm-hmm.
messaged them and I said, hey, I'm competing in figure. I've never done women's physique. Is there a possibility of me crossing over? And they said that was fine.
Mm.
So I had about a week to
A
try and
week.
figure out the poses, which I realized I did all wrong.
Oh no, that's not much time at all.
And I actually ended up placing second in both figure and physique.
Okay,
But
great.
the girl in physique, because I did masters as well, the girl in physique, she won multiple classes, so it rolled down, and I got my pro card in physique.
Oh, that's terrific.
And so then I was just like, hey, this is kind of fun. You get to move around a lot more. And I was just like, all right, I'm just going to stay in physique.
That's terrific.
So
Yeah,
I did. But figure, I really loved figure. Like I wished I had the physique for figure, but I don't.
sure.
I
You look
don't.
great for physique, and I personally like physique because I like the fact that you can flex and do the routine and everything. I think it just, I know it's almost more creative in a sense, I think.
Yes. And you
Yeah.
get to move around, and it's just more fun. It's so much more
Yeah.
fun than figure.
Yeah. I would
Figure's
think
very
so.
stiff. It's all you got is 4 turns, and yeah.
Yeah, I know what you
So,
mean. Yeah, I think you do a good job with physique for sure.
thanks. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now I was curious, when was your first kind of aha, I belong here in the gym kind of moment? Because I think many people kind of get intimidated by gyms, but when did you first start feeling comfortable in the gym, would you say?
Um, I don't know. I'll let you know when
Aha.
I get started.
Aha, I understand.
It would depend on which gym you're going to, because I'm comfortable in my gym because I've been there for years. But
Oh yeah.
sometimes you walk into a big gym with a lot of big pros in there, and you feel intimidated.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
yeah.
Sure. Um, and I was curious, like when you first started competing in bodybuilding, was it tough for you to get up on stage in a bikini? Because I was thinking that's kind of nerve-wracking and
Oh my God, absolutely petrifying. It's shaking like a leaf.
really, I
Oh my
bet.
gosh. It's shaking like absolutely like yeah, shaking like a
Wow.
leaf. Yeah.
Was it, do you still feel nervous like that on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Not as much now. And if I do multiple shows in one year, usually the first show I have a lot more butterflies. The next show I'm like, okay, I feel a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, so being away from the stage is a bad thing for me in that respect.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
yeah, of course, if you care about something, then you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and then you're nervous because
Hmm.
you want to do well, and you have these expectations of yourself. So I put a lot of internal pressure on myself and expectations, which makes me nervous. But
Yeah.
I did the same thing when I was doing, when I was running and biking and competing in duathlons. And I just have to tell myself that everything that I did to this point, I did everything to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I gave it 100%. And for that point in time, I gave the best that I was capable of giving. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that next year I might be better or be able to give more or be different, in some way. But for this particular time and point and place in my life, I gave everything I could. And this is the best that I've got. So just go out there and show them what you got and what you did and enjoy it. Try to enjoy it.
Sure, I totally understand that. But I bet it is nerve-wracking and you were off this year, so it's going to be maybe
Yeah.
more nerve-wracking next year for you.
Yeah. A lot of changes this year for me. So,
Yeah,
it just didn't work out for me this year competing. I had a lot going on.
sure.
But definitely getting on stage next year. Definitely.
I think sometimes having a year off is really good too. I think that really can help, competitors as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely good to take a break. Your body, especially as a female, needs that time to recover, reset your hormones, get some body fat on.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's always about trying to put on size. So
Sure.
the only way to accomplish that is really taking it off season, eating, training, training hard. If you compete back to back, you
Mm-hmm.
can't accomplish that. So
Sure. No, I think it's good that you took the year off. I think it'll help you coming up this year or in 2023. So
yeah, I hope so.
yeah,
Hope so.
yeah. I was going to ask you a few questions about prep, and I was just curious, like, what would you say is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
Um, Probably dealing with fatigue for me.
Mm, yeah.
I get really, really tired.
Mm.
And then probably just my own mental stress that I put on myself.
Yeah, you put a lot of
um,
pressure on yourself. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because you become kind of robotic, and every day it's like cardio, food prep, train, pose. If you have to work, and just everything becomes very, very regimented. You become very,
Hmm.
you're just the opposite of not easygoing, and you're just very regimented with everything in your life. But you have to be that way to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
want to do something at a pro level, you have to do all of those things. You can't half-ass it unless you're
Yeah.
some genetic freak, which I'm
Uh,
not.
yeah, totally. I understand that. No, I admire all the bodybuilders for all the hard work and all the sacrifice you guys go through. Like the food issue would be kind of tough. I did have a question for you about like what food item kind of lingers in your head, waiting for the prep to end and
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes when I'm so hungry, I feel like I would just give an arm for like a bowl of oatmeal
oh yeah. Uh-huh.
when I'm in prep. But then when I'm done, um, honestly, my mood changes like each prep. But everything looks good when you're in prep.
Yeah,
Everything.
I bet.
But for me, my biggest favorite foods are definitely chocolate,
Mm,
sweets. It's just nice to like go out, have a meal, feel full, have a cocktail, have some cheesecake, whatever.
yeah. I think the prep diet's tough because it's so much sameness, right? I mean, you're
My all year is like that though.
really,
And I
yeah.
don't eat gluten,
Oh,
so
oh
I'm
yeah.
even more limited because I stick to
Mhm,
rice and potatoes and oatmeal for my carbs. And
mhm.
I do eat gluten-free bread and bagels. But yeah, I'm a little more limited anyway compared to most people. So it
Sure.
is what it is. I eat the same foods. It's just more in the off season.
Okay, sure. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah. I think that's somewhat common amongst bodybuilders, isn't it? Would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like, you know, you, the more you stick to clean foods, the easier it is to just kind of transition and,
Hmm.
go with that.
Sure.
Better
That
for
makes
you.
sense. Yeah, that's true. It's a lot better for you. That's true. I was curious, do you have a prep coach now?
I
And
do. I do. I started working with Shelby Starnes
oh,
2 years ago.
very cool.
Yeah, and so far I really like working with him. He's really quick to get back to me, very responsive.
Great.
Anytime I have a concern or I want to make a change, he's always good with that. So I like working with him. Everybody says last year was the best I ever looked. So hey,
Yeah.
I I got no complaints. I
I
got
was
no
curious,
complaints.
what advice would you give to aspiring pros who are seeking a good coach? Any
It's
specific advice?
hard. It's hard. There's a lot of people out there.
Hmm.
And it's very tough because what you see on social media is not always necessarily what that is. I haven't had a lot of coaches. I've only had 3 coaches.
Mm,
Um, and because at the very beginning, I did everything myself for a
okay.
long time. But for me, looked at I looked at their clients. I looked at every coach has some genetically gifted favorite clients or whatever. And,
Hmm.
you know, I know I'm never going to be one of those people. I'm not. My genetics just aren't there.
Mhm. Sure.
But looking at somebody who consistently, when I looked at Shelby, consistently, even there was people that were winning, and then there was people that weren't winning, but consistently he always puts out conditioned clients. They
Mhm.
always look good.
Yeah, that's
Always look
true.
good.
Mhm.
So that was one thing that I would look at. I would look at, do they have a wide range of people? Do they have they consistently put out good athletes? And then
Yeah.
it's a personal thing. It's a personal, what's
Mhm.
important to you.
Mhm.
So what's
Yeah.
important to me may not be the same as what's important to a 20-year-old that's doing her first bikini show.
Yeah, I understand that.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Uh-huh.
you, you know, I have different concerns and different needs and wants compared to somebody that's younger or a different division or at a
Mm.
different point in their life.
Yeah.
So it's what's important to you, but stay true to what's important to you and what matters to you.
Yeah.
And and do your research. People
Mm.
are out there taking everything for granted. Um, you know, find somebody that you can ask, bounce ideas off of. Do your research. Go on Google. You know, find out. Like if something doesn't sound right, then
Mhm.
ask your coach why. Why are we doing this?
Mhm.
So I think I
I
don't
think
know.
that
That helps.
I've heard that from other folks that, yeah, just having an open dialogue and asking questions of your coach is important, and feeling comfortable with your coach, of course, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm like such an easy client because I don't I don't ask a lot of questions. I'm just like, just tell me what to do and I do it. And
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really bug him and I just do it. And sometimes I'm like, retrospect, I'm like, oh, maybe that wasn't working, or maybe I should have said something earlier. But I just tend to plug away, and
Mhm. Yeah.
maybe I should be more in tune with. But bodybuilding's it's a long term thing. It's a
Yeah.
marathon, so things take time to change.
Yeah, that's
Happen
true.
overnight.
It's a very all-encompassing kind of sport. It, certainly changed your life for sure. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And Shelby does do a great job. I thought your conditioning last year, the last couple of years, but especially last year was really good. And
Thanks.
that helps you kind of stand out too and kind of pop
I
on
think
stage
uh, that's my only winning card
in terms
because
of,
I'm small. I'm small, and a lot of girls out there, most of the girls out there are bigger than me.
yeah,
And everybody's always like, well, you're conditioned. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm willing to suffer and do whatever it takes. I like conditioning. I
yeah,
like coming in ripped. This is what bodybuilding is about to me.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
I'm
Uh-huh.
never going to be the biggest person on stage ever. I'm not,
Mm.
I'm just not. And I don't really want to be.
Yeah, I
I'm
understand.
not a fan of, I mean, I have respect for, that, but I don't necessarily want to walk around with another 20 pounds on me off season.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. That's a lot of weight to carry around too. Extra weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. No, that's terrific. Well, thank you. So I wanted to switch to talking a little bit about your work. I know you work as a firefighter, and how long have you been working as a firefighter?
I have just over 8 years.
8 years? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've changed careers a couple times.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but this was a good change, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Really happy.
I was curious, what's the most like challenging aspect of your career as a firefighter?
Um, there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges. Just the unpredictability of
Hmm.
your day. You never know what you're going into. Um, you never know the call, the situation. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been on calls where I'm like, you couldn't even dream this stuff up. Like, you, you're just like, you just have no clue, and just
Mm.
having to be able to deal with situations and people and things that you've never dealt with before, but they're looking at you to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have the answer to everything,
Yeah, I
but you
understand
have to
that.
learn to just kind of, okay, what can we, what can we do, what can we work, so it's hard to feel confident when, like when you do a normal job, you do it every day, and you do the same things over and over again, and you become very, very good at doing them.
Mm-hmm.
With our job, you might have something that you've never seen before, but people expect you to be able to deal with it as if you've done it 1,000 times before, and
Yeah,
you
I
haven't.
understand. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, to me, after coming from other jobs where I did things over and over again, and I
Mm-hmm.
was very confident, and in that, that's the one aspect that I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah. At least it's not boring though. We keep it interesting that way.
Yeah, it's
Um,
always interesting.
um, I was thinking, since you are already very physically fit, that probably helped you not only with your training, becoming a firefighter, but maintaining your career too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I first got hired and I went through recruit class, I was kind of transitioning from being an endurance athlete into more strength training.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really, really good balance of both. At that time, I had really good um, cardio and endurance, and being being small and being female, you're at a disadvantage compared to the guys, obviously.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped me for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's you. It's one thing that you have to, people expect you to be fit as a firefighter, and that's on you, and you have to keep that up yourself, and
Hmm.
you have to own that, and kind of, do the best that you can with that.
Sure, I understand. Is it tough to kind of juggle your bodybuilding career with your firefighting career?
Um, I have a routine now. Um, so I just make things work for my job.
Hmm.
You have to.
Yeah.
I prep all my food when I leave for work. I'm going for 24 hours. I have
Yeah.
all my food with me.
Hmm.
I train on my 2 days off. I train, and then occasionally I'll get up early and go to the gym before going to work. Sometimes I try to do something during work, but most of the time I get interrupted.
Yeah, I bet.
So
Yeah.
it will be like my recovery day. Maybe I'm going to walk on the treadmill, or maybe I'm going to do stretch, or maybe I'm going to do arms. And maybe I go in the gym twice and get changed, and maybe I accomplish nothing. And
Okay.
you have to just accept that that's life that
Yeah.
day.
No, I totally understand. And you're in Southeast Florida, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. Southwest.
Very cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was um yeah, just I bet it would be pretty challenging profession for sure, but and that 24-hour shift would be kind of tough, and um but then it kind of gives you a little more time to travel for competitions maybe, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
My schedule is flexible because I
Hmm.
can take vacation, or I can do swaps. So
Yeah.
a lot of times I would do that in the past. I would work for other people and then you know, save up time off so I could take the last couple weeks off before a show,
Okay.
and just kind of focus on that. And yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I was curious, do you find it tough to be a woman in a profession that's still kind of dominated by men?
My department has a lot of females in my department, and as
Yeah.
far as promotions go and advancement goes and pay goes, it's across the board. There's a very fair method I get paid the same as guys get paid. I have the same opportunities for promotion.
That's good.
I go through the same testing. I'm held to exactly the same standard.
Good. Yeah.
Are you going to encounter some sexism? Yeah, I'm sure at some point every single girl in the department has had something,
Mm.
something happened. It is what it is, but I'm going to say compared to in the past and compared to maybe other places in the country, no, we're doing great.
That's really good. That's good to hear that. I know I live in Tampa, and there had been some issues with some women in the Tampa Fire Department, and who ended up suing because of some of the sexist stuff that they had to deal with. And I'm glad to hear that's like that, for you, and maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the other women, but for me personally, I haven't dealt with anything really, nothing, maybe like a little minor thing like here or there or whatever, but nothing,
Hmm.
nothing significant at all. No.
Okay, that's terrific. Yeah, thank you. Um, and now I have a few questions about competing in bodybuilding. When do you hope to compete again? I know 2023, but any
Yeah.
any
So
location or?
right now I am studying for a promotional test at work.
Yeah.
So my written test will be somewhere in February, and then the practical test is anywhere from 30 to 60 days after that.
Mm.
So I do not want to start prep until I am almost done with that process.
Yeah, get that
Because
out of the way.
that's important, and that needs 100%, and prep needs 100%. So I can't do both.
Yeah, sure. Understand.
So like once I go into prep, I have to put other things on the back burner, and I don't take any extra classes, and I don't take on extra projects. I try to focus on that prep for those few months, and then the
Yeah.
rest of the year when I'm in off season, that's when I want to take classes, and I want to do other things. But I'm ready to get back on stage, so I'm gonna say hopefully early summer.
Okay, terrific. Yeah.
So I don't know what the schedule is going to be like. I don't know what there is. I have to look. I generally like to do a couple shows, but I
Yeah.
need them close together because I can't walk around super lean for extended periods of time with my job.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah. That
it's
makes
not
sense.
it's not conducive with my work.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Oh.
Well, yeah, Tampa maybe. Chicago and Tampa, maybe that might work.
I don't want to do Chicago again.
No?
No, I did Chicago. I didn't do well there.
Okay.
Um, Tampa's tough too, so
Yeah, it's a lot of competitors
it's a
at Tampa.
tough show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A friend of mine was talking about Puerto Rico, but I don't
Oh,
know.
that would be
I
cool.
have to look at the schedule. I'm not. I'm kind of. I'm just gonna wait right now. There's no rush to figure it out right now.
Sure, I understand that. Um, I wanted to ask you too, a lot of promoters are dropping women's physique and women's bodybuilding from their shows. And I was just curious, what's your take on that? And is that concerning that there's fewer options for you to compete?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know which shows got dropped or what got dropped. I feel like South
I was
Florida is we have a lot of options in South Florida, and I'm very lucky living here.
That's true.
That
Yeah.
I can pretty much pack my stuff in my car and drive to multiple different shows.
Yeah.
Even Puerto Rico is what a 2 hour flight for me. So
Yeah, that's not bad.
um, I'm lucky in that aspect.
Yeah, that's true. There is quite a few. That the one that just wrapped up, Atlantic Coast, just
Yeah,
took place, and
yeah, I
then
just watched that one. Yeah, which I did last year. Yeah, I did that one last year. So
yeah, that was a
wanted
really
to
good show.
watch. Yeah,
And I know that's really close for you too. So
yeah.
I was curious in terms of feedback from judges. Have you heard any feedback about what you need to improve to move up?
Last year they told me I needed to be wider, wider shoulders, wider back, wider quads.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody says my conditioning is okay, but I just need to be basically bigger.
Okay. Sure.
So yeah, that's the story of my life. That's what I pretty much already know that.
Yeah, I understand. Oh
So
man.
I'm trying,
You look great, I think. You're doing a great job.
trying.
Um, and then for these last few questions, they're a little bit miscellaneous, but I wanted to ask you, I know you're originally from England,
Yeah.
but how long have you been in the USA and what brought you here to the USA?
It's a little bit of a story.
Yeah.
So when I was 16, I was a working student um, for an Israeli guy in Wales, and this is where I fell in love with this. I'd always ridden horses, but I didn't have a discipline, and this is where I fell in love with dressage, which is the discipline that I chose with horses.
Yeah.
And he trained with one of the most famous trainers ever, really. Um, and that's where I fell in love with dressage. So anyway, fast forward, I did some traveling, was out of the country for a year and a half, came back and called him up and I said, hey, I want to come back. I want to come work with you again. And he said, I don't need anybody right now, but I have an ex-student of mine in the United States and I know you like to travel. So he gave me his number, another who was also Israeli guy,
Okay.
and I called him up and I was like, "Hey, do you need a working student?" And he's like, "Sure." So I packed my bag and came over, and
Wow, that's great.
yeah, so and I ended up staying. I
Do you
loved
have
it.
a dual citizenship?
I
Yeah.
do, yeah.
Okay, great. Very cool. Um, would you consider moving back to England eventually, or are you pretty
No,
much
no,
USA?
no,
Yeah.
no. I just was back a few months, what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I went actually with Jodie Lyons. I went to the Arnold UK with her and
Yeah.
helped her. And then I went and spent time with my family because I figured it's off season. I might as well take advantage and go now.
That's
I
great.
hadn't seen my family in a while. And as much as it's great to see my family, I'm so Americanized and I love living here. My life is here. My career is here.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I miss except for my family and chocolate.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, they got the Cadbury everywhere over there in England. Yeah.
No, I won't. I used to think that I would go back, but no, not no. I know I won't.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, you're definitely an American now. Yeah, that's great.
Yep, yep,
There's definitely advantages to that, and uh,
yeah.
being in Florida is not such a bad thing too.
No, I don't like cold weather, so it's good for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Um, so I was curious, like, what would you do to improve the sport of bodybuilding? Like, how would you make the sport better if you were in a leadership position?
um, I don't know. I feel like the way that this sport is going, we're pushing everybody to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And my hope was with the return of women's bodybuilding, that women's physique would take a step back
Mm-hmm.
to where it was.
Yeah, sure.
But judging by the way things are going, that's not happening, which
Yeah.
is kind of sad because it I feel like we're pushing everybody to just, I mean, it's a lot of muscle and,
Hmm.
you're pushing people to do a lot and to get a lot bigger. And I don't know if I don't want to sacrifice conditioning and I think that aesthetics and symmetry and all of that is important. And that's a big part of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But this just push to be freaky and huge and rewarding that
Hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
I
So
understand that.
if I could
Yeah.
scale it back a little bit and just, we say we're like healthy, but reality is competing is not healthy.
Hmm.
Competing
Yeah.
is very, very extreme. It's very hard on your body.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. Yeah.
so, you know, there's a lot of young people out there, and it's just like, if if they get in the wrong hands, they can really mess themselves up for the future and mess up their hormones, and do too much, and just, you're not going to be able to bring it back, which is sad. I'm
Yeah.
lucky, I'm older, I trained completely natural. I competed natural for like 20 shows. I trained natural for 20 years. I
Yeah.
have that foundation. I have that base.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like people going into this sport now, they just jump right in, like right off the get-go.
Yeah. That's not so good. Yeah, it's not good for your body so much. And I think that there's the kind of the line between women's physique and women's bodybuilding is kind of blurred now because of physique women getting so big and getting so
Yes,
ripped and stuff too.
yes. And they're rewarding it. And then when I look at some of them, and I think you should be moved to bodybuilding.
Hmm.
And then the judges reward them, and they're putting them in the top, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm
Hmm.
like, well, if they're getting rewarded, they're not going to budge out of
Yeah,
where they're placing to go to
mhm,
women's bodybuilding.
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, if I was naturally huge and put on muscle very easily and was told to go to women's bodybuilding, I would go to women's bodybuilding.
Hmm.
No one's
Yeah.
ever going to tell me that because I'm not.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I mean, whatever Jake Woods is doing with women's bodybuilding and the Wings of Strength, they've got some great shows, great support. They're
Yeah.
they're giving them good prize money. They can win cars. I mean, why not go to that?
Yeah.
Because women's physique, you're not getting anything. You're not getting
Yeah.
anything out of it.
Yeah. The price
So
money's not very good in women's physique.
no, it's
It's true.
terrible. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that they should, and even figure girls are as big as women's physique girls.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Mm.
So I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know. I mean, I all I know is I got a couple more years in me, and then I'll probably be done.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand. Well, you've definitely left your mark though. I think you've done a great job and so
Thanks. I don't feel like I'm done yet, but
oh no, well no, I
mm.
think you've got a lot left in you for sure. Um, now, I was curious, do you feel like you suffer from body dysmorphia? Like, I know a lot of bodybuilders do, and if so, how do you kind of cope with it?
I feel like every bodybuilder does. Every
Yeah, I think
female on
so.
the planet does.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, I feel like I felt like that probably my whole life.
Hmm.
Of course, there's such an extreme. You bounce with such a huge weight fluctuation,
Hmm.
and I love walking around ripped, and I think it's really cool and lean. And
Hmm.
then, in order to grow, I have to be much bigger and fatter than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I understand.
So, yeah. You, I don't know. I try. I don't know that I do very well with coping with it.
Hmm.
Um, I try to think of it as this is what I need to do to accomplish my goals.
Hmm.
So, if I
Sure.
need to eat all this food, that's what I'm going to try to do. And it's I'm getting better and better at accepting my off-season body every year.
Hmm.
Am I comfortable with the way some people are comfortable? No.
Hmm. Yeah, I understand that. I think that's tough for bodybuilders because you do transform so much in the even in the course of a year, and nobody else really does that. Like
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
people that aren't in bodybuilding don't necessarily do that. So it's
Yeah,
it's
and I feel
it's
like if maybe you competed in bikini and you have to adjust maybe like, 5 to 10 pounds most. I mean,
mhm,
like that's
yeah,
not bad.
that's
But
not bad.
for us, I'm like it's a significant amount of weight.
Hmm.
It's like a whole nother closet or two of change of sizes of clothes, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Kind of
you feel thick. when you're off season, and it's hard to find girly clothes that look cute.
Yeah, you got to find stretchy stuff, I would think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And not, yeah, I think the clothing budget could break the budget too if you don't have stretchy stuff, because because you're
Yeah,
changing
I
so
think
much.
we all just spend most of our life in workout clothes. It's just easier.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's not
Yeah.
such a bad thing.
No.
Yeah. Um, I just had one more question for you. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I neglected to that you'd like to talk about?
No, not that I can think of. Mm.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I was curious, would you mind doing a couple flexes for me? All right. Now your biceps looking good.
That's all I got.
Oh, no, that's terrific. No, I appreciate it. And what I'm going to do is I'll put your Instagram and I'll put Shelby's down in the comments section
Yeah,
on
perfect.
YouTube. And thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
you're
And
welcome. Anytime. It was fun.
thank
Thank
you. And I'll
you.
get this up posted relatively soon too. But thanks again. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Izzy.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.